You may notice there's a problem here. I can't reach the dryer. So there's no power doors on any of our main doors into the building, and they're all secure access. So it's a race against time to get in and hold the door for and hold the door for myself before the secure access times out. So there are two types of accessible housing units. There are fully accessible units and there are adaptable units. Any buildings that have elevators make every single unit be at least adaptable because you're at least able to get in the front door. My unit, because I'm in a building with an elevator, is an adaptable unit. There are a plethora more of adaptable units than there are accessible units. Adaptable units just mean that there's, when they build it, there's extra reinforcement in the wall for if you were to put in grab bars in the future. It could be easier to take out cabinetry like under a sink, so that way someone could roll under it. But otherwise, it leaves out things like having accessible stove controls and having that extra turning radius. Right now, less than 0.5% of all housing in Oregon is fully accessible. And then when it comes to getting into my apartment, there's not a lot of room to the right side of the door, which I need to use all of it to be able to get to reach to unlock it. And then the door is pretty heavy, so I'm just in the habit of driving into it. Watch out, Toasty. I am an ambulatory wheelchair user, meaning that I personally only need to use a mobility device for long distances. And so when I get home, I just park my scooter. And while I do have enough room to turn around, it's, I still only have as much room as my neighbors have who don't use wheelchairs. And so I end up parking my scooter in front of my patio door, which as a result means I haven't used my patio a whole lot since moving here. But it's like there's only really so many places I could put it without rearranging my entire apartment. And it has to be somewhere that I can plug it in. So for me, part of accessibility absolutely required having in-unit laundry. I don't know how I would ever physically carry my laundry to a separate place, but you may notice there's a problem here. I can't reach the dryer. I actually also used to not be able to reach the washer because a lot of units have a top-loading washer, but this means that every single time that I do laundry, I have to coordinate with a friend to help move the wash to the dryer and then get the dryer out when it's done. So the kitchen is pretty much an accessibility nightmare. The stove controls are at the back, which means reaching over hot burners. Even when I'm standing on a stool, I still have to end up using my crutch to turn things on and off, which is obviously not very safe. I don't love that I have to use stools everywhere. I feel like it creates more of a fall risk every day because I'm stepping up anywhere that I need to use them. And then obviously, and I forget it's even up there, the microwave. That's none of my business. I can't reach it, along with obviously all of the upper cupboards. And so I had to bring my own microwave. Really, this is the main part of my kitchen that I do use because, I had to bring my own counter my height. I had to bring my own microwave that could be at my height. So the rest doesn't really get used as much. Fully accessible units include enough turning space for wheelchair users, as well as knee and toe clearance at sinks and work surfaces like kitchen counters. It also includes enough clear floor space to do things like transfer to the bathtub or a shower. And all appliances, both in the kitchen and with laundry machines, need to be accessible, and windows and power outlets also need to have clear floor space and accessible operable parts. In the case of the building I live in, they didn't even know which of their units were considered fully accessible, and they thought that mine was because once the people before me moved out, then they found that there were grab bars and a shower bench in the bathtub, but that's the only thing that's different between my apartment and my neighbors. So it's really not any more accessible than any other unit. Current laws only require 2% of units in new buildings with 20 or more units to be fully accessible. As we address the overall housing shortage through increased production, that must include building more accessible housing. The state legislature needs to increase the percentage of accessible units required in new buildings and reduce the number of total units required for the law to be triggered. We need to start building housing today to meet the needs of Oregonians tomorrow. If you need a timely package, that's too bad if you can't reach it.